David Klinkenberg was just 4 years old the first time he played his violin in public. Just 2 weeks after his first lesson, he was performing before thousands. His mother set this child prodigy on a musical path.
She was like, "Your sister's playing the piano. Do you want to play something?" And she just handed me a violin.
As David grew up, he developed into a premier violinist, even landing a spot in the Chicago Youth Symphony. Despite his classical training, he quickly found the perfect niche for his ability.
And I played worship music at my church and churches around the area.
David grew up in a Christian family and came to know Christ at the age of 9.
Real Christianity is about stepping way outside of yourself and doing things that you can see God's impact in.
As David got older, his skills as a violinist grew, but strangely, he never thought of playing professionally. Instead, setting his sights on what he thought was a loftier goal, law school, even making plans to attend Yale University.
I knew that the music career road was a difficult one, and I felt, in my own strength, in my own power, I felt like I could go to law school.
Despite his attempts to make his law school dreams a reality, obstacles continually roadblocked his plans.
Well, there's so many things actually that happened in my life. Looking back, any one of those things I kind of dismissed at the moment, but he just kept on putting stronger and more distinct barriers in my life, guiding me towards this particular path.
David played in church one Sunday morning. That's when he got his first glimpse of the spiritual impact God was making through him. An investor approached him crying and offered to help David make an album. Shortly after, he was signed to a record deal with Pamplin Entertainment. He recorded his first CD, Sound of the Mountain, but he wasn't happy with the project and decided his music career was over.
Pamplin kind of folded, and I moved back to Oregon. And I was like, well, I'm just going to finish college and become a lawyer. I'm still chugging down that path of wanting to do what I wanted to do.
So David pursued law school again. But the night before he was to take the LSAT, he had a car accident. He missed the test and had to wait an entire year before he could sign up again. David was left wondering, what's next?
I thought, well, what if I tour around this album that I just made? Because, honestly, I wasn't even thinking spiritual thoughts at the time. I was just kind of like, well, it's the only thing I'm really good at.
So David went to his church and asked if he could play and have his albums available afterwards. That morning, he sold about 500 albums, leaving him in a state of shock.
More than the money of it, it was amazing to me the spiritual impact that it made on people. They'd come back to the CD table and just crying, and they would tell us their life story, or they'd be like, oh my gosh, I just got a divorce, or whatever. It seemed to open up their spiritual walk in some way that they hadn't experienced before.
He began to realize God had a plan for him.
This was beyond what we had anticipated. The spiritual impact in the city was quite tremendous. I mean, God had sort of put it on my heart to make another album, and one that I was personally proud of.
Fiddle Levity was released in 2005.
The reason why I made it was to create the same kind of spiritual impact that I saw happening live on Sunday morning in church. I wanted to create an album that could do that without me being there.
For the CD release concert, friends and family suggested he hold it at a local bookstore or a coffee shop, but David was thinking bigger. After praying about where to hold the concert, he believed God wanted him to do it at the Portland Coliseum, home to the Portland Trailblazers.
I want to do something that there's no way I could do. I felt like I need to do something so that everybody's going to know that God did it and I didn't do it.
Over 5,000 people showed up, making the show the largest independent concert ever held in the Coliseum.
You just don't really ever get a chance to do something where you can feel God working at that level, ever. I mean, I've never done anything like that in the past, where I really stepped out of my boundaries to the point where everyone around me was like, David, you're crazy, and have God show up.
Since then, he's been taking his career one step at a time. He's currently touring with famed pianist Jim Brickman and will appear with Mark Schultz this spring.
I know right now that I'm in the center of God's will. I know that He wants me to be doing this, which is kind of a good feeling.